Hello, my name is Bruce Dweck, and welcome to our series on how to navigate the mortgage process in buying a home. And with me today is Shea Peck, who is the lead mortgage lender for Bank of England Mortgage, and she is an expert in this field, has a tremendous amount of experience in lending, and is here to answer any questions you may have. Just want to point out that in the upper right-hand corner, we do have a chat bubble. So if you have questions, feel free to put your questions in there. But today we want to talk about the ins and outs of VA. And I have questions, and my buyers always have questions about how do I get started, what's important, what do I need to know about VA. And going to hand over the presentation to Shea and let her take us through the ins and outs of VA, and if she needs to share her screen and show us anything, she will, and we'll just go from there. So Shea, the floor is yours. So, and I can't hear you, so let's see. Let me see if I can fix the audio here. Unmute.
Now.
Okay, now I hear you.
Cool. All right. So let me get my screen.
Oh, I see what's happening. All right, go ahead.
How about now?
Yep, perfect.
Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Let me get up my. I want to make sure I'm screen sharing in the right place. So.
I'm gonna stop the recording for a second because I just figured out what happened.
This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, my name is Bruce Dweck with Keller Williams Realty, and with me today is Shea Peck from Bank of England Mortgage. And we're here to share information with you about VA loan products. As a realtor, I get a lot of questions about VA. Is it the best product for me if I'm a veteran? How do I get started? You know, what are the down payment? If there is one, I've heard different things. Well, those questions and more will all be answered today, and Shea Peck is going to share with us all the ins and outs about the VA loan product. So Shea Peck, Bank of England Chief Mortgage Officer, tell us a little bit about VA and how someone gets started.
All right. So you can, my shared screen's good. You can see the full screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So there's a lot to cover today actually on VA loan products, and there's really a lot to learn about them. They are different than a conventional loan and an FHA loan, and they have their own special qualities about them if you are eligible to obtain one. So I'm going to go over sort of the ins and outs of that and, you know, answer any questions that may come up as well. So we'll get started.
All right.
Maybe. Okay, there we go. All right, first things first on a VA loan is that there's no down payment at all. So you can finance up to 100% of it, which is key, you know, for borrowers who don't have the money to put down. And when you look at doing other loan products such as conventional or FHA, when you don't put 20% down on a conventional loan, you're required to have private mortgage insurance. An FHA loan always has mortgage insurance, but on a VA loan, they never have mortgage insurance. So you can actually finance 100% and not have any PMI.
Great.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so PMI is a cost to the borrower, and if you don't have to pay it, then there's a savings to them, right?
Exactly. It's a monthly savings that you wouldn't be putting towards it anymore. So it's, you know, gives you a little bit more purchase power even when you're looking at homes in different price ranges, because a portion of that payment originally would have been going towards private mortgage insurance on a conventional loan. But on a VA loan, since there isn't any PMI, you can build a little more of that into the principal, meaning you can buy a little more house. So that's one of the convenient things about the VA product.
Great.
There are no limitations on location, and there are not income limits on this product. I know some of them oftentimes do have, like with the first-time home buyer program, do have income limits, but with VA there are none. And for credit score requirements, our base credit score as of right now with the COVID overlays and everything that's been going on is a 660 in-house with Bank of England, but Florida Housing offers an SOS Salute Our Soldiers program, which they go down to 640 on that program. And I do have a little bit more. We'll get into that here in a few slides. But those are sort of like the baseline requirements on credit for the VA product as of now. And then one of the things that's great about a VA loan product, because it is government backed and it's a government loan, you do see better pricing on it than say you would a conventional. So there are, as you can see right there, a lot of perks already that you can point out on there. As far as who's eligible for a VA loan, so any active duty military who are currently serving in any branch of the military, including the reserve, veterans whose discharge status is anything other than dishonorable, so honorable, medical, anything like that is totally fine as long as it's not a dishonorable discharge. And then a surviving spouse who is not remarried. So that portion is pretty interesting. If there are a husband and wife, whether active or retired military, if the veteran or active duty military member passes away, as long as the spouse does not remarry, they can use the entitlement from the veteran or the active duty military member at the time of their passing. So you're able to actually, your family can still benefit from that, your spouse, when, you know, if something were to happen to you. So what is VA loan entitlement and how does it work? So first things first is we pull what we call a certificate of eligibility. We want to make sure that you have entitlement in order to receive your VA loan. The VA entitlement is defined as the dollar amount that the VA will repay a lender if you were to default on that. So what we'll do, and I'll get to the slide too that kind of tells you how we pull that certificate of eligibility, but it will show your entitlement on there and letting us know that you are eligible in order to receive that VA loan. And it is possible to have multiple VA loans at once, depending on how much entitlement was used. So I've had borrowers who have previously had a VA loan and looking to purchase another home, and you don't oftentimes be able to see them qualified to do 100% financing after they've already had one, because there's really usually not that much entitlement left, or at least as much as usually people are looking for in a purchase price. And then when you run into that, we can always refi the other house out of a VA loan, or you can always put some money down with whatever remaining entitlement that you do have. So there are options, and it is possible to have more than one VA loan at once. So VA loan entitlement is available for life and can be restored at any time. So when you either sell your home that you have a VA loan on, or like I mentioned, if say you have, I have a borrower right now, is a good example. So he owns a home in California and he moved here to Jacksonville. He's in the Navy. So PCS, which is called permanent change of station. So he came from San Diego to Jacksonville and he had a VA loan. We refinanced that loan into a conventional, which reinstated all of his entitlement for his VA loan here in Jacksonville. So there are, either way, I mean, your entitlement is available to you for life, just depending on what your current situation is. If you already own a home or if you don't, you know, it can always be restored as you either sell or refinance that property out of a VA loan. And what do I need in addition to the typical required documentation in order to obtain a VA loan? So there's not really too much extra in there as far as that goes. We do ask, if you're active military, we get a statement of service from your commanding officer and your current orders. And then obviously we get an LES versus a pay stub. So pretty much as far as the pay portion would remain the same, but then in addition to that, we'll get your statement of service and your current orders. If you're retired or honorably discharged, former military, eligible for a VA loan, we're going to be looking for your DD-214. So each of those respective documentation lines is what we will submit in order to receive your certificate of eligibility to show that you do have entitlement in order to go forward with your loan. Which is what I put there. So SOS is the Salute Our Soldiers program, which is what I was kind of talking about earlier as far as the Florida housing portion of the program. So you can look to do with Florida housing as 100% financing. VA loans are 100% financing. So why, Shea, would I want to do this? In the situation where you might not have enough to cover closing costs and prepaid items, because a VA loan finance is 100%, but you still have your typical closing costs and everything that would be involved in that. It's prepaid items such as a year paid in advance of your homeowner's insurance and those type of items. So when we kind of look at the Salute Our Soldiers program, it gives you a little more wiggle room in order to have extra money to put towards your closing costs and prepaid items. You don't have to elect to take that product by any means. You don't have to do the down payment assistance, but it's an option for people who might be looking for a little bit more cushion as far as money. So one of the positives with that is they do go down to $640 as of right now. And there are income caps, but that varies on the program itself. So it would just sort of be depending on what county you're in and which loan program you're looking at. But that's something that we could sort of cover at that point in time, as there are multiple options on that, and depending, in the area you're buying in. And like I mentioned, it's with or without the down payment assistance option. So I've listed a few on here. One is $7,500 in down payment and closing cost assistance, and that's 0% non-amortizing over 30 years, meaning you don't pay that back as far as a monthly payment. You are given that $7,500 interest-free up front, and then when you either sell or refinance out of that Florida housing product, then you would repay Florida Housing the $7,500 out of your net equity. So it's sort of like a nice gift from the state of Florida that they give you without charging interest, and eventually they want it back, but it's good for people that need that money up front, and they're not going to charge you anything additional to what they're giving you, which is cool. With the $10,000, which is a little bit more, it's actually offered at 3% and it's amortized over 15 years. So that can give you a little bit more money, but obviously that does come with a monthly payment, and depending on, what kind of price range you're looking at and what your debt to income looks like, that might not always be the best product. It just depends really on what we're, looking to accomplish on each loan. And lastly, there's 3%, 4%, and 5% of the loan amount in down payment available as well. And that is 0% non-amortizing as well, and it's forgiven 20% over a 5-year term. So they'll give you, we'll say, if you get 10 grand, then you'll reap after 1 year of having it, you only owe them 8. After another year of having it, you only owe them 6. So over that 5-year period, it begins to drop off 20% each year until the 5-year period is up. So that's sort of how those down payment assistance options work for the Salute Our Soldiers program. And like I said, you don't necessarily have to do a down payment assistance when you do the program. The rate is very favorable, so it just depends on what you're looking to do overall.
Great. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of great options for our veterans, which is a wonderful thing. When
Yes,
you say, just from a terminology perspective, you say something's non-amortizing, that means there's no payment associated, right?
Correct. Amortizing, non-amortizing would mean we're not looking to collect a payment with your regular first lien payment.
Okay. And so the DD 214 is the thing I hear about the most, and so in order to get that, the veteran has to request that from VA, or is it something you could help them with?
Yes, depending. It depends on if you have one handy. I mean, some veterans just have, keep it in a safe document somewhere, but you can also request it in case you don't have one. The VA can provide you an updated one, a new one.
And
then that's only on the veterans. Then on active military, they wouldn't have a DD 214. They'd have current orders, and then the commanding officer would give a statement of service.
Okay, great. And then in terms of closing times, are they typical compared to other types of mortgages? 30-day
Yep.
mortgage be typical?
30-day close, typical on a VA loan. It's no longer any different than a conventional or FHA loan. So that's another good thing about them, is we can close them at or under 30 days and keep everybody moving right along.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Shea. This has been very informative. I'd like to suggest to all the viewers out there has questions, feel free to reach out to myself with your real estate questions. Reach out to Shea with your mortgage questions. We're here to help you make the process easier, simpler, less painful, and so that you can start enjoying your home. So thank you very much for joining us, and you have a great day. And again, give us your questions and tell us what other topics you're interested in hearing about. Thank you very much.